Recording in progress.
We'll call the Parks and Environment meeting to order. Stand for the pledge. I
Go, Nate.
All right, can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Chair Voice.
I'm here.
Vice Chair Carney. Here. Mr. Hudson. Here. Ms. Foney.
Here.
Ms. Stoffel.
Here.
Mr. Newcomb.
Here.
Sir, everyone is here and we have a quorum.
All right, we've all got a copy of the minutes. Can we get a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, minutes are passed. All right. We are just moving right on to the budget.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we have no items that require action, so this is all information. Just not working, Patrick. What'd you do to it? There we go. Okay, budget presentation. Okay, so this is our budget presentation, item 3.1, and we're going to start off with just kind of an update of the strategic plan. It's not updating.
No, it's not saying there was an internet connection problem.
Okay, well, until our internet is reestablished, there we go. Okay, so not going to go through the entire strategic plan, just the ones pertaining specifically to Parks and Recreation. So goal number 2 was invigorate the sense of place and community, and our action item was to create great places for residents and visitors to gather. And develop and support new events at Community Park was number 1, and we're going to do that by programming out the amphitheater quite a bit more and using the park for different special events. And then we're going to pursue funding opportunities and implement recommendations from the feasibility study that we did last year. We're just putting the final touches on that feasibility study, so you're going to get a dose of that coming up over the next few meetings here. Goal number 3 was support high quality of life for residents, maintain and improve parks and facilities. We're going to check out the cemetery and determine future needs. This upcoming year, we've added a couple of columbariums. Evaluate the opportunity to have alcohol at the sports park, and see if the council wants to move in that direction. We're going to determine the best use for the Regency Conference Center. That lease is coming up here, so there'll be lots of discussions on that. So again, that'll be on tap for this next year. Create and support partnerships that advance pollinator plots action and sustainable practices in green space. We started this pollinator plot a couple years ago at the sports park, and we're going to continue on doing that throughout the community. Basically, just essentially what that is planting wildflowers to reduce mowing and quite of other environmental impacts that has. And then additional turf fields at the soccer park for 9 and 10 to meet the growing demand. Item 2, requests increased opportunities for walking and biking. We're going to continue working on implementing the bike master plan, and we're going to develop and plan locations for mountain bike course. We have a few ideas, but again, we're going to spend the next year kind of working through more plans on that if we can get it done. And then we're going to invest in infrastructure to support current and future development. And then we're also going to work on implementing the urban forestry management plan. Okay, a couple of numbers, which is what I'm sure you're all here to hear. Our large spend items for this next year, we've got a number of them, so these are just the highlights. This is not everything. I would refer you to the official city budget for the entire list of the large spend items, but in Parks and Rec, we're going to buy a couple of different trucks. We have not been able to buy F-250s the last couple of years because they weren't on the state bid, so now this is just playing catch up. Typically, we order a F-250 every other year. And so these 2 F-250s will kind of get us back to where we need to be as far as maintaining and recycling our F-250 truck inventory. A steel green sprayer is just a better version or a newer version of to spray fertilizer and different herbicides on the grass areas in town. Temporary fencing for 9 and 10. If you remember on those 2 new turf fields we're building, we did line out some baseball fields in each corner, and so we need some fencing on those fields to establish outfield perimeter fencing. And this is temporary, they'll be moved on and off as needed. Baseball shade structures for baseball fields 9 and 10, as well as shading the concession stands. Again, this is a project we've been wanting to do for a few years now, and so we're going to finally have the money in the budget to get those areas shaded. And anybody who's been at the sports park waiting in line for a hot dog, our lines get pretty lengthy, so to be able to provide shade to people waiting in line to get drinks or hot dogs or whatever is a much needed asset that we would like to add to the park. Christmas tree edition, we added a tree last year, now we're just going to add a couple layers to it to make it a little bit more grander. Multi-force mower, this is just essentially a typical mower that we always buy, but the new ones have the ability to add attachments to them, and so we are going to add a multi-force mower and then the attachment to it so we can use it for snow blowing and those types of things. You can put blowers and different attachments on them, so just makes it more versatile. Tailgate spreader, we put these on the back of the trucks for obvious reasons. Salt is very corrosive, so they tend to wear out. Front loader for the Kubota. We bought a Kubota last year, and now we just want to get a loader for it and continue to add attachments to that. And we now have 2 Kubotas, so it's nice to be able to have them both with, to be able to use this loader. Pickleball lights in Hesse Park. This was a council request and a resident request, so we're going to get that done this year. The columbariums already talked about. And then the Hesse Park upgrades, as we're just going to spend some time this year upgrading Hesse Park with painting the bathrooms, putting new floorings, new fixtures, and those types of things, sealing the parking lot, adding the batting cages. So Hesse Park is going to get a much-needed upgrade this year, and that is all grant dependent, or half of that is grant dependent on the St. Clair County grant. So
I'll do it.
it's all you. All right. And then, of course, by the numbers, we want to implement the urban forestry management plan, and that entails 1 new employee to serve as the urban forester. And then we have a $36,000 budget this year to do tree trimming and buy equipment and those types of things. This is about half or maybe a third of what we spent in previous years, because we have less tree trimming that we're going to be able to, or have to bid out, so, but there is still a need for some money for the urban forester to do the work they need to do, so. And we still have large trees that are too big for us to cut down, and ones that are by power lines and whatnot, so we'd need a budget to do that type of stuff. I'm kind of plowing through this. Does anybody have any questions on the large spend yet?
I just have a clarifying question.
Yeah.
You mentioned for the F-250s that those haven't been on the state bid sheet. Is that the only way that we get vehicles? This
No,
is just for educational
typically-
purposes for myself here.
Yeah, no, great question. So they haven't been on the state bid, and so when they're on the state bid, I think we could get them for 49,000, but since they haven't bid them this year, we had to go market value. So what we'll do is we'll go to 3-4 dealerships, give them the specs of what we want, get quotes from 3 dealerships, and then purchase the vehicles that way.
Okay, so for clarification, you've traditionally gotten them with the state bid because they were lower price, but since they haven't been on there now, the quote that you have on here is kind of estimate, you're going out for bids outside of this state bid because it's not on there.
You are correct.
I'm understanding. Okay, just want to make sure I understood.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we did the same thing a couple years ago. We bought a couple of Ford Mavericks. We went to 3 dealers, got the best deal from them, and I think we've done that in Public Works too, so.
Recording in
And if they come back
progress.
on the state bid, that's how we'll buy them. Okay, overall Parks and Rec expense are pretty neutral from last year to this year. Just $6,500,000 in expenses and revenue. It's a 1% increase over FY26. And the cemetery budget is $246,000, and then that's an 8% increase, but that's by and large due to the Toro Multiforce and purchasing 2 new columbariums. And those columbariums will cost us about $37,000 to $40,000. So, and they'll be similar to the ones we purchased last time. We're just going to continue to buy them until we're fully built out. So, okay, some of our larger expenses. I've done this graph in the past. I think it's helpful to see a graphical representation of where the money goes. So you can see our largest expense is split between operations, part-time salary, and full-time salary. And as you know, Parks and Rec, we're heavily dependent on employees, whether it's you know, serving our summer camp or running concessions. It just takes people. Like, unfortunately, we need people to do all of the different things we do in the park. So 41% of our expenses go to salary in some way or for some way. So it's a large expense. And then operations is just a general category of everything that's not on this list. But we have bond payments you can see is $5,000. Our capital reserve is $3,000. IIT and then utilities is 6%, and our equipment non-cap, a lot of those items we just mentioned is 2% of our overall budget. So between equipment non-cap, equipment and vehicles on here, that encompasses the bulk of our large spend item, and that's 5% of our budget. So, okay. And then revenue, grants, we get a 1% grant. That fluctuates every year depending how many we get, but typically the St. Clair County grant is the one we would get every year. That's anywhere between $30,000 and $50,000 depending on what they do. Concession sales, pool, sports park is 9% of our revenue. Utility tax is 18% of our revenue. Sales tax, remember we get a 0.5-cent sales tax, and so that accounts for 26% of our budget. Donation says 0, but it's less than 1%, so it just kind of rounds to 0. Rentals, pavilion, ball field rentals is 13%. Program revenue, baseball, softball, those types of programs, soccer, any other programming we do is 18%. And then other is just the general categories that we get throughout the year, just a collection of everything else. So that's our revenue. Any questions on any of that? Okay. And then that's it for 3.1. 3.2 is just our Parks and Rec staff reports that are on there for more detailed accounting of what we do in the department. So,
Any questions?
I have one question. When you were talking about the columbariums, and you said it's going to be like the other ones, it is exactly like the other ones, right?
We haven't ordered them yet, so we're assuming they're going to be exactly the same, but until we place the order, if they changed a feature on it, we won't know that until we purchase it, but we will order the exact same, assuming they're still available.
Okay.
They're
Do we
being
need
shipped
to
overseas.
purchase, we have 8 of these is what it's going to be when it's, right?
Yep.
Okay. We don't want 8 different styles in there.
No, we don't.
Okay.
No,
Do
we certainly don't.
Do we want to look into, see about maybe purchasing all of these to have them?
I mean,
Or
we can, you know, the sooner we get it built out, the sooner we can put the pavilion over it, but it's just a large expense. You know, you're looking at $40,000 for every 2, so you would be looking at another $300,000 plus the pavilion to book it all out, and it's just not something that, unless the council wants us to, we would prioritize at this time. But it's up to you guys. I mean, we can certainly put it in next year's budget.
I think when
I-
you place the order, you ought to look, you know,
Yeah.
just to see if there's any change in, and then
Yeah.
if there's any likely change to come out.
So the original design, and we can bring that back up to you guys and show you, it has the first layer all the same, and then the back layer is slightly different design. So once we finish the first layer, that concern about having a slightly different, I mean, it's still the same materials and still the same look, but there will be a difference between kind of the first rung and then the second rung.
They're shorter and then taller, so yeah.
I think it's reasonable to just look into, because, I mean, to Roy's point, I would like it to look nice for families that use them, and having them look consistently. If there's any way we can, I mean, just look into it with the design and all of that. I think it's
Yeah,
at
for
least worth the
sure. And
conversation.
when we get them, we'll get that information for you and report back. It won't be till May, but Misty has already reached out, gotten the updated quote, and we were not told it would be any different, but I can't speak for 6 years from now if we go every 2 years either, so. Okay. Then to date, I don't think we've sold one columbarium, so there's plenty of spots. It's not like we're not running out of space at this time. In niches.
No one is
No,
using them?
we're selling them, but we're not nearly
Oh,
close
like we
to
haven't
sold out.
filled the thing. I see what you're saying.
Correct.
Well, and there could be in the future, like a way that we design it where even if they are different, you lay it out in a way that's not super noticeable or
Yeah,
anything.
when you might have
odd like
2 at a
that.
time, then
Yeah,
hopefully we'll
yeah.
get to that point.
But I understand Roy's concern,
Yeah.
so.
Absolutely. And the cemetery's revenue stream is really burials, interments, and then perpetual funds. So that separate budget doesn't have a large capital reserve to go out and spend these. So if we wanted to do that at the council's discretion, we have to pull from potentially different parks reserve fund or somewhere else. But not undoable, but certainly something to think about.
Any comments from council?
One question. I noticed you had transfers to IT in this budget. I thought I heard at an earlier meeting that those transfers were going away, and that would be in the budget across the board.
So the transfers that are all coming to one budget are for payroll services and landscaping, not IT services. That's still quarantined off to each department.
Anybody else? Public? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
You want to entertain us for 13 minutes?
13 minutes? Probably do
Maybe
that.
the staff reports? Patrick? If you had to pull one highlight from the staff report,
Can't.
put you on the spot here.
For highlights, I guess say we're still hiring for, highlight from rec staff report would be we are still hiring for summer camp positions. As y'all know, our camps are pretty full, but the more counselors we can get that can meet our needs, we can open up more spots for the community, but we are getting pretty full, but
Well, there you go. Free
get kids to
advertising.
apply and sports officials, all that stuff. That's like Andrew said, we need a lot of staff, so we're in that hiring phase right now. So the more we can get, the better.
Good deal.
I have one other question, and this really is in our budget, but on Blazer Field, the outfield fence, do we need to raise that? Have we looked into,
Well,
There'd be less home runs.
well, I don't
As a
want to
parent
take
of a
that
pitcher,
away
I'm
from
okay
them.
with that.
Don't put my name there.
I think center field is already raised up.
It is.
For the batter's eye, and then as opposed to raising it, if you're looking for privacy, we would probably rather do that with landscaping than go another 10 foot up. The wind, it wreaks havoc on it, and so that fence has been blown over several times, and so going any higher is just going to create more wind load that's going to cause more problems, so.
Okay.
To that point, like, what is the plan with Blazer Field to, like, into the future? Is it gonna be, I know, like, I've gotten asked before because there's just, like, the paints and the color, you know, if it's gonna match.
You mean the dugouts?
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
it's gonna be redone, or the outfield.
Yeah, no, great question. So we do have money in this year's budget to paint that, and so we'll paint it to match the other buildings. We're going to paint the baseball athletics shed, which used to be the Hort shed, and then we're also going to paint Blazer Field this year. So it'll be, get a fresh coat of paint. We've just put new padding on the backstop, on the backstop, so we constantly refresh it. And we just did the new fence 2 years ago. We put the new field in 2 years ago, so we constantly refresh it. But no, I don't think there's going to be any change between our relationship with the high school. They're going to continue to be out there, and we're going to continue on with our partnership.
And the high school pays for some of those things as well as part of the
we split
agreement.
the
so.
cost of the turf, and we split different amenities. We probably won't split the painting of the dugout. That's a park facility. But certainly the batting cages are shared expenses and those types of things. Great questions.
I know. I'm tempted to pull another highlight. But,
I have to ask another question.
okay, yeah, go
As
ahead.
far as summer, while we're here, the summer programming, like, are the movies in the park back this summer?
Yeah.
Concerts, like, what's getting planned?
Yeah, so we took 10,000 from economic development? Yeah, we took 10,000 from economic development, and we're utilizing that money to add more programming to the amphitheater. So we'll have concerts every month. I think the current plan is to do May, then June, July, and August, you'll do the downtown events, and then August, September, and October, you'll do more park events. It's hard for us to do those June or those July events and August events on the amphitheater, so we're going to highlight the spring and the fall, and then stick with downtown for the district nights in the summer. So, yeah, we're going to use. We want to program it quite a bit, and we'll still have some kids shows there this summer. We did some last year in the morning, and I think they were great. So. And the movies, oh yeah. I don't know, have you picked the movies yet? It's a big secret.
No, we haven't picked the movies yet. That we're finalizing all our summer plans now, and that brochure will come out here in about another month or so with all the movies and stuff basically through late August, early September. So that'll all come out in this next brochure.
All right, public comments. Seeing none, we'll take a motion for adjournment.
Second.
Give everybody a 9-minute break here. All right. We are adjourned. Thanks.
With the Community Development Committee. Just a chit chat, that's fine. Welcome to the Community Development Committee. We generally meet, bless you, the second and fourth Mondays of each month. I'm Jessica Lotz, and I'm your representative from Ward 2, and I'm the chairperson for this meeting. Also leading us, we have several city staff members, including Grant Litteken, who's our city administrator, and Greg Anderson, who's our director of community development. Looking over the agenda, it looks like we have one item that we'll vote on, and then we will also review the proposed budget for fiscal year 27. As a reminder, any votes taken tonight are advisory only. Regardless of how the committee votes on it, everything moves on to full council for consideration. Anyone wishing to make comments will have several opportunities to do so. After each item is presented, I'll ask the committee, and then the council, and then the public if they have any comments that they'd like to make. There's also an opportunity at the end of the meeting for final public comments, and those can be about anything on the agenda or not. Public comments are welcomed, and anyone wishing to speak has 5 minutes to do so. Please just state your name, and if you are a resident, please address comments to the council and not to individual staff members or members of the public. And our goal is to always answer questions that are asked, but sometimes things come up that we need to look into a little further, so we're happy to get back with you if that is the case. So with that, we will get a roll call. Greg?
Campbell?
Here.
Mylart? Here. Parchman?
Here.
Rosenberg?
Present.
Roach? Watts?
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
We have a quorum. All right, our first item is 1.3, approval of the minutes. We last met on February 9th. The draft minutes are attached. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All righty. Items requiring council action. 2.1 is an ordinance approving the final plat for the patio homes, first edition, and I will turn that over to Greg. We're having technical issues. Stand by.
Just stand by.
Is internet in the budget for next year? Asking for a friend. Okay.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
We need more internet.
Recording in progress.
There you go.
All right. Take two.
Thank you. This will be short. This is ordinance 2.1, and this is an ordinance approving the final plat for Patio Homes First Edition. This was a planned use approval, which was approved by City Council back in 2019. The ordinance passed on February 4th, and this was a mixed-use development consisting of Vantage Point, which is a senior living facility, as well as a separate phase for Patio Homes Phase 1. Which is an addition of 48 residential dwelling units, same style as the original patio homes, patio-style homes along a private internal street network. This was part of the Seven Hills mixed-use development, and part of that ordinance, there is $54,000 in parkland dedication fees that do need to be paid. It's part of the 14.08 acre patio homes Phase 1 addition. The zoning for this does not change. It is MR1, planned multifamily residential. When the slide switches over, the final plat was also included on the agenda, which does show the 48 dwelling units. The roadway connection, Mr. Goraz does own the property to the north, so there is a sub-street, which was Lotus Avenue, so that is going to be stubbed, for future development, as well as a stub street, which would eventually connect to Wesley Drive as that gets built out in the future. This has been reviewed by the Community Development Department, Public Works, and Engineering, and it is ultimately recommended for approval, and that is my presentation.
Thank you. Before we start discussion, is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
All righty. Is there any questions for staff from the committee? Any from the council? Mr. Carney.
Where did you come up with the name Tomcat Alley for the street?
That's a great question. I don't know.
It's a good question.
Any other questions from the council? Any questions or comments from the public? All right, seeing none, we will take a roll call vote, please.
Mylart?
Yes.
Parchman?
Yes.
Rosenberg?
Affirmative.
Campbell?
Yes.
Chair Lots?
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, so that moves on to full council next week?
Correct.
Okay, all right. Now we will, that is all the business that we had requiring council action. So now we will move on to other business, and we will review the Community Development Department's budget. Fun fact, we're the only committee that meets twice a month, and I'm pretty sure we have the smallest budget, so.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you for your support. This is the department budget for the Community Development Department. We sure do. Once this uploads, you will see there is a slight increase in our department budget, 5%. Our budget for the department is approximately $1.8 million, an increase of approximately $78,000. Those slight increases are in salaries, a 4% increase of $36,000. Medical insurance saw a 12% increase at $30,000, and our IT allocation increased by 17%. We do have some major CityWorks upgrades in play right now with the IT department, as well as an additional upgrade to CityWorks when we switch over to CityWorks Community in the future. So that IT allocation will likely increase in the future years as well for CityWorks. Our one large spend purchase is a vehicle replacement at $40,000. Our capital reserves, I increased our capital reserves from $15,000 to $22,000, increase for future vehicle replacements as we're planning to replace one next year and the following fiscal year. And we did have one additional large spend item, which we've been speaking about for the past couple months, which is the zoning code and design guideline update. That is budgeted for $150,000. That was part of the community development budget, but as part of the budgeting process, that did get moved over to strategic plan. And that zoning code update, which the RFP will be put out next Monday, we're likely going to start that process once we pick a consultant in May,
Recording
June,
in
after the
progress.
fiscal year. But that update does support Goal 1, Action Item 1, update codes and regulations to accommodate a city of all ages. And that concludes my budget presentation.
All righty, there's not an action item for voting, but are there any questions on our budget from the council? From the public? All right. Thank you, Greg. Seeing none, we will open the floor for public comments. Does anybody have anything they'd like to talk to us about? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
All right, public safety starts at 6:15.
Why does this look like a football huddle? I was looking at it, why does this look like a football huddle? They're like, all right, B-52, you take the left. I'm like, what the fuck?
You have to budget for it, but it looks like it'll be years.
He told me to bang it.
Okay, we'll call the public safety meeting to order. Can we get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Blackburn.
Here.
Councilmember Mylard.
Here.
Councilmember Ford.
Here.
Councilmember Stoffel.
Here.
Councilmember Newcomb.
Where's he was just here. Okay. All right, we do have quorum. All right. The meeting minutes for February 9th were attached. Can I get a motion for approval for the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
There are no items requiring council action for 3 fiscal year fire department budget 3.1.
Before we start, I would just like to give a shout out to the PTOEC this weekend in Centralia. They had our athletes competed in the unified cornhole, and some of our athletes, the Laurelwood boys, along with myself and Officer Hurt, won gold medals, and Tony and Nick Schmidt got a 4th place, and then Jack and Kenny Morris, another one of our officers, competed and got a gold medal as well. So congratulations to all of them.
What was the acronym again?
PTOEC is Parents and Teachers of Exceptional Children. It is our local Special Olympics athletes. So congratulations to all of them.
That's great. Thank you for sharing.
All right, good evening. I'll kind of push through the fire budget relatively quickly since last meeting we went kind of through a deeper dive onto it, but I'll highlight a couple things here pretty quick. So our budget this FY27 will be about 2.5 million. So again, still that slow, steady up increase. But if you look back to 23, we're still not where we were, and we've lost some of that revenue because of that math error. We're still trying to catch up to it. So our expenditures, like we talked about before, are those 4 main areas, and I'm just going to highlight a couple things with those. So in personnel, you'll see the noticeable change in our part-time budget line. We are going to push, we are going to implement in May a swing shift is what we're going to call it. So we currently do 22 hours of coverage, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., and then 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. with a gap from 6 to 8 p.m. We're going to put a swing shift in from 5:30 to 8:30, so we'll have a low overlap on both sides, and we'll have 2 individuals fill that overlap, so a driver and another person on the truck with them. So we'll have a period of time there, we'll have 6 out the door, and then that 2-hour gap, we'll still have 2 on the truck, plus the duty officer and the chief, so we'll still have about 5 or 6 people to keep that coverage going 24/7. So that budget of $590 was originally in the mindset of having 3 people doing a 12-hour shift at night. We found that that's really not going to be logistically possible just because most of our volunteers cover that shift at the evening. We have a lot more who are willing to do a 3-hour layover and then go back to family than stay 12. So with the change, that will actually probably be closer to about $525,000 as opposed to $590 when it's all said and done. So we'll have a true 24-hour shift. And again, our last fire that you may have saw that note, 22 people responding at 4:30 in the evening. So we're at or above what a full-time department in this area can put on the streets at any one time. So maintenance is, again, where we get all of our stuff fixed and repaired. So, you know, $200,000 roughly, $36,000 of that is just the annual fees that it costs to do everything that's required of us for testing of all that. On the next slide there with the capital reserves, kind of a large spend piece, just to highlight again, out of that reserves, we spent $627,000 of that for the new truck, and that's actually the finalized image of what that build's going to look like. We'll pay $134,000 in the FY27 budget for the chassis, which will save us another 5% on the total cost. And that'll be a Freightliner that'll take somewhere in the order of about 3 years from now to get. So it's going to be a hot minute before we see that. I'll also highlight, back in October, you got a note that we were going to use some of our 2%, that foreign fire insurance tax money we get from the state, to purchase a new Explorer. That was purchased back in October, and we just got word that that'll be in the next week or 2 and be outfitted with lights, so that'll be on the street here. That'll be a vehicle that was not purchased out of the budget, but through that 2% money that we get through the state. And then at the bottom there, the capital reserves in FY27 is $191,000. But before you get too happy, that's kind of just a transfer from cash into capital reserves. We were $22,000 over in the budget altogether, and the moving of the money to cover that overage and then just put some away into capital reserve is what that is. So that's not anything we're saving out of the current budget. And then again, just those future needs. So as we talk reserves and stuff, that'll push us, I think Sandy could probably tell us, just a little over $1 million in capital reserves when it's all said and done. Still well shy of replacing any one item that we may need in the next 5 to 10 years. So just for that long-term planning piece, those are still our needs that are out there. Well, that's kind of it in a nutshell. I know it was quick, but again, we kind of covered most of that in the last go around. So put in any questions.
Any questions from the committee?
Nope.
Any from council? Public? All right, thank you, Chief. All right, we'll move on to 3.2 fiscal year EMS budget.
All right, so currently 18 full-time paramedics and EMTs. We have 3 division crew supervisors, 1 new EMS chief. That's me, hello. That was new in 2025 in June. And to help with some of the administrative duties, we found it necessary to add on an EMS captain, and that will be beginning May 1 of 2026. Some challenges we had with the staffing in 25, we had a little bit of turnover. We had 5 full-time paramedics leave. 1 was out 9+ months on extended injury, and 1 on extended medical, which created some challenges as far as staffing goes. Calls for service are pretty close. Total calls for service in 24 is 6247. A little bit of a difference in 25. Miscellaneous, those are just the PR, CPR events and whatnot. So we try to track using our reporting system at a relatively low number there. So I think it's important that we realize that calls for service is the total package of everything, and it's broken down into several facets. One of those facets are transports. So the nomenclature is kind of important when trying to explain this, and that a transport is every time our ambulance transports a patient to the hospital. And that total, because the 6,100 doesn't account for all transports. We only actually get paid or bill when we transport a patient, not for the other times when we don't transport. So total transports in 24 at 4,602, and a slight difference in 25. The non-transports are the patient's contacts. There are no patients or refusals where they refuse to be transported to the hospital. That's when you see a little bit of a decrease in 2025 and a difference of almost 25% versus 2024. And another facet of the overall diamond, so to speak, is the IFT, or interfacility transfers. These are when we take patients between healthcare facilities, for instance, when we take patients from the cancer care center to the hospital and back, or the rehab center. So interfacility transfers accepted, these are ones that we actually did, were 378 in 2024, and we only did 167 of them, accepted 167 of them in 25. So pretty significant decrease, and that was basically maybe contributed to the fact that we didn't have the staffing available to take those interfacility transfers. So, and again, in 2024, we declined 316 and then increased a little bit more, declining more in 2025. So the actual need is potentially much higher if you think about it logically. Like when I tell you no once or twice, people just stop calling. So this is the bare minimum probably that number would be. I suspect it would be much higher if we actually did get called every single time they wanted somebody to transport. So mutual aid received, mutual aid given and declined. So mutual aid received, this is anytime an outside agency responds to a call in our venue. This is when we call out and ask them for if we're status 0, don't have available ambulances to run the calls. In 2024, we did that a total of 90 times. In 2025, we had a pretty decent increase of 177. So that again was increased call volume and some staffing shortages that we had. And sometimes during time of day, multiple calls dropping too would cause that to stress our current resource. Mutual aid's given, outside agency request us and respond to those. So they request us 40 times and then another 30 times in 25. Same concept applies whenever we tell them no once or twice, they just stop calling us. So, and then again, mutual aid decline, that's when we declined an outside agency's request. So they call us and ask them to respond to their venue. Typically get those from Abbott and MedStar, outside agencies, sometimes in Muscuda, 2024, we declined 339 of those, and then 25 an increase because they too are impacted by some staffing shortages as well. So they're facing kind of the same challenges as we are. Outreach classes in 2025, we did 230 students for CPR classes, 70 car seats, and we did a total of 6 schools with approximately 204 faculty members. This year, we have a new chief's vehicle scheduled for delivery in June to replace the 16-year-old jalopy that I am driving currently. Actually, I'm not even driving it. Unfortunately, it suffered a fatal, I guess, I think it was like a transmission pump or something like that. And I asked Alex how much it was going to cost, and he says more than it's worth. So we just parked it. Equipment maintenance, we actually entered into a preventative maintenance agreement with Stryker. One of our most frequently utilized pieces of equipment on an ambulance is the stretcher and power loader. And those things are getting a little bit longer in the tooth, and we quickly realized that not having a preventative maintenance program resulted in us paying for lengthy or costly repairs. And right now, just kind of, we did implement this a few months ago, and already it has already saved us what we paid in first year for preventative maintenance. So it was money well spent. Operating costs and supplies obviously continue to rise, just like everything else does around here. We're continuing to expand into Fire Station 3 and utilizing some of that area over there. And with that comes absorbing some of the costs for building maintenance. Those expanding services also move into multiple buildings, calls for more computers and additional modules. An ESO training platform, which is our report writing software, is absorbed underneath the IT budget line. And training and travel, these are just some of the things that we are hopefully going to continue to do this year to help train some of our upcoming leaders. So like I said in the last slide, new patient care reporting software, ESO, is absorbed underneath that service. That's why you see an increase in there. Training and travel, obviously that's redundant, and this is a contract year, so we have a little bit of increase in the legal side. And as always, capital reserve requires us to put a little bit of money away each year for that ambulance.
All right, thank you, Chief. Any questions from the committee? Any from council? Go ahead, Ms. Lotz.
Chief, you mentioned that the non-transports were down 24%. Do you know why?
So-
Is that a good thing? Like, are we glad that they're down, or does that indicate, like, what? Tell me about that.
So the non-transports are down because we're probably getting utilized more often for things that don't necessarily require a hospital or to be transported for. And then if the lift assist also are one of those as well. And I know a little birdie told me I was going to be put on the spot for that, but I did a preliminary run of April 1st to March 9th. And overall, the lift assist resulting in non-transport just in that time frame was 421. And of those 421, 73 were at healthcare facilities. So it's a relatively small number when you compare it to the overall 6,100 calls, right around 1.2%. So.
And then what does the employment pipeline look like? Are the paramedics and the EMTs out there, and it's just a matter of like our timing, and maybe we had situations happen that we didn't expect, or is there not a good pipeline of trained
Yes,
professionals?
all of those. So we've had some challenges, at least with some individuals being out on leave that wasn't fully anticipated. A couple people returned actually from leave, so we actually had a shortcoming there for a little bit. But as far as the pipeline goes, we're currently working with Scott Air Force Base to try to incorporate their medics into our program, our part-time program as well. We started with one of them right now. So the goal is this would give them an opportunity to use their paramedic skills because they don't get too much opportunity on base. And so this would essentially be an OJT kind of, they would get paid to train with us. But unfortunately, our first person was deployed immediately with the stuff going overseas in the Middle East. So more to come on that one. And as far as finding paramedics, they are increasingly difficult to find. So we've really started trying to grow our own and hiring people that have good people skills and want to learn the profession and putting them through school.
Can you remind me, this is not necessarily, oh, this is the hot mic, this is the mayor mic. Just the way that we're structured, having a city-owned EMS department, that's different than some of our neighboring communities, right? That they contract out stuff. Can you kind of remind me what that looks like around us and like maybe the benefit to us for
Right.
having our own department?
So when you own your own, you control it. And whenever you work with a private entity, you are left with whatever they provide you in that, in the sense that having your own EMS department allows you to control or actually to manage the quality of paramedic you have and overall response times, essentially. 8-minute response times on average, what you get with O'Fallon EMS. And I've talked to some of the neighboring communities where they unfortunately have far longer response time. So that is a benefit.
And I would add that, having 2 and 3 ambulances on allows us to respond with supervisors, and QRVs allows us to respond with the manpower, with multiple units of paramedics for those critical incidents.
Yeah.
And one of the big things too is when you have, we are a 911, we are an emergency medical services. So it is the most important thing is to keep our ambulance available for those 911 calls, for those emergencies. So that's why sometimes we're declining some of those transfers. Those transfers are people that are already in a healthcare facility, and we just don't have the time because we know that we have taxpayers that rely on us to have ambulances and paramedics on staff 24/7. If we had an outside agency like Abbott, a private agency, anytime they come, they're going to charge you. So when we don't transport, those are things that we have made a decision over the years. Council's made a decision that we're not going to charge our residents because that's not what we're going to do, because there is a tax base for that. Private entities will charge for everything.
Yeah, Chief is right, and they have a different business model. They're in it to make money, and we're here to serve.
And they're in it to make money. They still are very professional, and they care about it. But you're right. The bottom line is they need to make money to keep the doors open.
Just as color commentary, I was really fortunate when I did the Citizens Police Academy and I did my ride along. Our first call was an assist for an EMS call. And so just to be able to witness the care and sort of the interpersonal skills of the 2 EMTs that were there, and then one of the supervisors came along. It was really very special for me to be able to kind of witness what our citizens are getting when they call.
Yeah, and from a police perspective, we love it as well because we're not paramedics and we don't know what we're doing all the time. And it is very nice to know that when we respond to a scene, our paramedics are going to be there super quick. Other agencies, their police, their fire, they'll be on scene for a long time before somebody gets there. Brad could probably
No, I
say
was just
that.
going to highlight the example from yesterday. We had the unfortunate motorcycle accident on I-64, a young man with multiple serious compound fractures in his body. Resident stopped, put a hasty kind of tourniquet on it, but then PD showed up, put another tourniquet on it. Our folks were there, and then the EMS showed up, and the 3 agencies seamlessly being able to help that individual on the ground, waiting for paramedics to arrive with the ambulance, fighting through that traffic that we have on 64 currently, to get him there, and then to make the decision to not fly him, but just to go ahead, and since we had the roadway closed, to run him down the interstate, having a firefighter drive the ambulance so they can continue to work him in the back. Just kind of, you wouldn't have that with the outside agency coming in to assist. So we have a very robust relationship, and we've trained enough across the board here where we can just all seamlessly kind of get our hands in there and help out our EMS folks when they need it.
With our own agency, our paramedics know our residents, right? I think with some of the Abbott or MedStar, I mean, they're based here one day, could be based somewhere the next day, so I don't think they have that as close of connection.
I would agree with you. There is a certain sense of community with ours and ownership with our medics to the community. I mean, that's seen in all of our outreach programs. I can't speak to the other private agencies if they have any kind of community outreach, but we really do enjoy doing that. And we think it's part of the only way that you could really have proactive EMS engagement.
Yeah. Okay, any more from council? Any public comment? Okay, we'll go to, yeah, please.
I really appreciate it. It's my pleasure. It's our pleasure.
All right, I was against this acronym when we made it, but Metro East Communications Budget.
MECOM as the staffing, we are currently at 14.
Thank you, Daryl.
Full-time telecommunicators and 4 part-time telecommunicators, always looking to add more to the ranks. Right now, some of the things you'll see is we did have a little bit increase in our IT budget. We have brought on for this next year an AI enhanced software that will help us with quality assurance and training. It will actually review all of the calls that are coming in. So we've been working with a company that we contacted at the International Association of Chiefs of Police conference, and we've going to sign a contract with them. We recently introduced a CAD integration with Ameren to streamline emergency communications. As Alderperson Jim Blackburn can attest, when a storm comes in and you're trying to get a hold of Ameren on the phone, and you're just on the phone on waiting, and you're just, that's a TC that's there. So now we've got an integration with Ameren where we can just type it right through the CAD and get all this stuff going. So it frees up a lot of time for our TCs and for our officers on the street. 2025, we had 106,000 calls for service with 23 or almost 24,000 911 calls, averaging 291 calls a day out of the center. You know, we're obviously doing all the same stuff that we've been doing before. We contract with Shiloh, and we're partners with Fairview Heights. So not a whole lot changed with the MECOM budget this year. Any questions?
All right, thank you, Chief. All right, 3.4, actually, sorry, any questions from the committee? Council? Public? All right. Fiscal year police department budget?
PD budget, obviously one of the bigger ones in the city, just under $11 million. We're currently situated at 49 officers, budgeted for 50. We're going through some testing processes right now to try to get another person in the academy. You know, obviously we have overtime where we do a couple different trainings throughout the year with the Safety Act and some of the mandated trainings that we have to do. It's imperative that we get some scenario-based training hours in, so we try to get those things in with high-risk traffic stops, defensive tactics, different things that we have to accomplish through the Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board every 3 years. We continue with a big part of community engagement with over 1,000 hours in 2025. It's always been a staple of the O'Fallon Police Department to engage with the community. You'll just see that some of the equipment, we have a little bit more. We still have our TASER contract, which is at $47,000 a year. That was a 5-year contract that we signed last year. This year we are introducing some new weapon lights. We are purchasing new weapons for all of our officers and trading in our old weapons. After a recent officer-involved shooting, we had a debriefing, and we talked about what might be needed in the department. And one of the recommendations that came forward was weapons with an optic on the top of the weapon. In order to do that, we'd have to buy brand new weapons. So we're actually going to purchase those out of seized funds, so that's no cost to the city. But we will be needing new weapon lights, because our weapon lights that we have on them right now are about 15 years old, and they're at end of life. So we'll be purchasing those. It's not terribly expensive. It's about $150 a light, so it's not really that bad. We are going to purchase a new TRAX unit this year. TRAX unit is something that we put out. We have a couple TRAX units, but they go out on the streets. They're very inconspicuous, and they're just a little radar that gives us our traffic data, so we can put that out on a traffic pole. We don't write tickets with it or anything like that. It doesn't identify cars, but it allows us to count cars and figure out what speeds are, and without putting a person out there, and we've done that many times in the past. This new TRAX unit comes with some newer, fancier software that allows us to identify commercial vehicles. So we would be able to tell if it's a car driving down a street, or if we're having a particular problem with commercial vehicles driving down certain streets, we'd be able to do that. Added bonus is that the new TRAX unit would come with upgraded software for our older TRAX units too. So. We are consistently looking at adding surveillance cameras. One of the big things that we do have license plate readers, and we're going to continue to use SEAS funds to purchase license plate readers, but we do have a lot of areas in town where we were looking at surveillance cameras. Some of our high-density intersections, some of the things we don't have as much camera coverage on the east end of town as we do as the west end of town, because the west end has a lot of our retail establishments. So we just want to try to have that when people come in and out of our town, if there's a traffic crash or something, that we could have that on have it on video. Also, it's just a force multiplier. It allows us to be in a lot more spots to keep our community safe. One of the things as well is we're looking at adding 5 electronic speed signs this year. You've seen them on Smiley by the high school. It's just a speed limit sign that has solar powered, and then it displays your speed. So those have been very well received in the community. We have 2 of those out now. And so we're going to add 5 more. Sergeant Gimple is running a lot of our traffic enforcement and has located some spots where we can put those in, some collector streets, places where we have. There are some studies out there that they actually do reduce speed by 4 to 9 miles per hour, even over an extended period of time. I know myself, I drive past them and I make sure that I'm not going too fast. Our large spend equipment is the mobile barricade system, which is something that we'll be demoing in a couple weeks. It's about $200,000 there. This is something that we would be putting out at our festivals, potentially parades. These are things that would stop a moving vehicle from, most of the times it's not going to be an intentional moving vehicle driving into a crowd, but maybe somebody that's just not paying attention and doesn't see. Right now, what we're doing is we're putting patrol vehicles out. This would be something that would be easily removable and very effective at stopping a vehicle. We do have vehicle replacements. We will be replacing a number of vehicles this year. As we do every year with our patrol vehicles, we replace them when they get to be about 100,000 miles. That's the recommended age for them or time for them. We will be using DUI funds, restricted vehicles for a patrol vehicle, and drug funds for 2 of our administrative vehicles. And then obviously new in FY27, you'll see that we have a category called employee wellness. It's something that we've been using funds to try to make sure that we're covering employee wellness. You'll see that in all of public safety, EMS, fire, and police, where we're putting those funds in there because we want to make sure that we're taking care of our employees. We have counseling programs with a new Perspectives out there right now, and then we have other different wellness initiatives throughout the year. Computer services, we are still demoing an AI report writing software. Haven't made a decision on that, but we did budget for that this year. We have a new computer casebook for our social worker. It's actually very minimal cost. And then there is a resident assistant account where we put some money aside for our social workers, so that way if we have an issue that comes up where she needs some funds, then that's going to be out of that resident assistance account. If she comes across somebody that needs to have a phone, or she needs to buy some food, or she needs to buy some clothes for somebody, that's in there for her. And then obviously one of the things that we've been continuing to do is our building's 21 years old, and building maintenance. Every year we are looking at painting and putting carpet. Actually, this month we're using this year's our community room will have new carpet in it for the first time in 20 years, and it actually looks really good. The old stuff does, but it's starting to age. So, yes, the Eric Van Hook community room, exactly. So we'll be replacing the carpet in there and in records, and then we have a few more places that have not had carpet replacement. That's all I've got I'll just roll right into the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners. It's technically a separate budget, but that goes through testing and hiring process and recruitment and marketing costs. So that's where any of the money that we use for our website, any of the stuff that when we're recruiting or taking out ads, it will come out of that. So that's right there. That's all I got.
Thank you, Chief. With the barricade system, is there any kind of discussion with communities splitting resources, kind of like Ilias assets or anything? Because I would imagine if you have a parade or some,
Yes,
there's
we
multiple
would-
points of entry.
We are going to allow other
Recording in
agencies to use that,
progress.
yes. That would be the
And vice
intention.
versa?
The intention would be to share those resources and allow that.
So every department purchases one, hopefully, and then you can kind of.
Well, we're going to be purchasing them first. I don't know if any other agencies are going to be purchasing more of them, but our intention would be to purchase them for us, but we would allow other agencies to use them. They are going to come down and demo them at our St. Clair County Chiefs meeting. Just happened to be that time, so other agencies, we can rent them out? Yeah. We'll probably just let them use them. We're nice.
Okay, any other questions from the committee?
So in this proposed budget, with contract negotiation, like, is that built in here, or a rough estimate, or like, what are we going to have to do? We're not part of those conversations, so I'm
our
just
legal
trying to
services-
understand.
Our legal services are in here. They're pretty consistent from year to year. I would expect that the contract is actually being negotiated right now in FY26.
Okay.
And the goal would be to have that done prior to FY27. So
Okay, thank you.
Any contract stuff. Now, some of the other legal services, like for civilians and EMS, may go into after May 1st. So we always
We can do
anticipate that.
amendments, okay.
Generally, the sworn side finishes theirs first.
Okay, all right. And not to put you on the spot or anything, but I know in the past when we didn't have 3 separate departmental chiefs here, and is the Director of Public Safety salary, like, has it been allocated differently since now we have an EMS chief?
Yes.
Yes, it's been allocated slightly differently. One project that Kirk and the rest of the department heads are working on right now is cleaning up those officers. I know we did it in the fall time. But so we'll bring kind of an updated code of ordinances back to the council in the coming few months. That kind of cleans it all up. If you read through it, there is no EMS chief, and so we have to codify that and do some other things as well.
And we have adjusted the amount of my salary that was with EMS.
We lowered it.
We lowered it and gave a little bit more money to EMS because there is an EMS chief doing more work, and it's less that I have to.
Yeah, that was kind of
We lowered the
I
salary.
figured that was the case, but I just wanted to make sure.
Yes.
Okay, any other questions from the committee? Council? Public? Okay, I think we're now at public comments. Anyone wishing to make a comment, please step to the mic and advise what ward you reside in. Hi there.
I have some handouts if you guys would like. And I'm short. My name is Jennifer James. I've been a resident in O'Fallon for almost 14 years now. The military originally brought us here, and we have found this to be a very safe and welcoming community, so much so that we decided to make this our retirement home. With that, I think we have an opportunity where we can do better. With the way things are in our society right now, the things that we've seen with other communities, Minneapolis, Chicago, with the way the federal government is enforcing laws, there are plenty of communities who have enacted their own, I guess, additional laws to help protect their citizens and the visitors coming in. We have a lot of outside visitors coming into our community with the events at the sports park and different festivals and things, and I know that we all want to keep everyone safe. So I'm not talking about drastic things. There was a group of us actually that met with Lieutenant Stewart from the police department, and he was fantastic. And I know Illinois has the Trust, thank you, the Trust Act that takes care of a lot of this stuff, but there are things that are not part of that, things like requiring law enforcement to be unmasked and to wear identification badges and things that they should be doing, but they are not. In the packet, I have included Denver is the most recent example I found. There is a executive order that the mayor put forth who that talked about protecting various places in the city and things like that, and then also legislation that they had passed through their city council that addressed the masks and the identification of officers and that type of thing. So I hope you consider it, and I would love to see us be an even more safe and welcoming community than we already are. Thanks.
All right, thank you for your comment. Anyone else wishing to make public comment? Yes, sir.
Vern Miller, Ward 3. I just want to make mention of noticed that quite a few vehicles are being parked around town on various streets going the wrong direction. I just don't understand why. Plus, I've seen vehicles parked around town with flat tires and no plates on them. And I've also noticed people trying to park around a curve. So is there anything that can be done about these three situations? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. We will look into that with the details you provided, but it's always more useful if you can call at the time that you observe those, so we can check on it at that time.
Or you can submit via the app if you have that
Or you can
access on
submit
your
via
phone.
the app. Yep. Abandoned vehicles are not allowed to be parked on roadways.
Well, there's some on the road that they don't have tags on.
Right.
Just flat tires.
Thank you.
Not saying they're in the residential streets or the east or west, but I'm just saying around town.
Well, if you let us know where they're at, we will address them. Yep.
Call it in. Okay, I think that, do you have another comment? Sorry.
No,
Or-
you look like you're getting ready to
Oh.
get up.
Can't see behind.
Thank you, Martha.
Hi, my name's John Smith. I live in Ward 4, and I called police today to ask if they get a officer out to Evans School, because there seems to be some people that don't know the difference between the yellow striped areas, what that means. And I looked it up actually on the internet, and it says that typically it's indicates a loading zone for commercial vehicles, allowing short-term parking to load and unload passengers or freight. Yet, we have 3 people that continually park in there. And last week when we had a nice rainstorm, one person parked right in the walkway. You couldn't cross the street, not going around their vehicle. I'd like to know if we could probably look at that whole street, because somebody painted it yellow on the curbs. There were some gaps on the north side, which is up against the residential, and it's only got 2 striped areas before and after the walkway. And it seems like I've caught these people. I caught 2 of them the other day parking in there. I said something to one of them. They just look at me like, I don't know who they are, but I have a grandson that goes there. And we pick him up, and it's just been funny how I haven't given you guys enough notice probably, but they get out at 3:15 on the day, and I should ask that maybe an officer in an unmarked car just go out there and watch them. I don't know if you can ticket somebody for parking in a yellow zone or not, or if we can get some signs up finally
Are you talking about on Matthew?
on Matthews.
On Matthew, where
On
the
school
crosswalk
side.
is?
Yeah, they park
Okay.
always in that area. Because I know that if you paint it red, it's no stopping, standing, or parking, period. Maybe it's the color change we need to make at that area. I don't know. But I'd appreciate it. I know you guys put up speed signs in our subdivision. Finally, I'm glad. So, that's all I have.
All right, thank you for your comment. Anything to-
I appreciate it. We are aware of that. We've had a few other times throughout the year, and a lot of times we work with the school and our traffic, some of our officers to go out there and do that, and we'll take a look at that.
The department does routine extra patrol requests like that all the time, so. Okay, I think that concludes the agenda for the evening. Can I get a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned.